Let a surrendered will. Ask a heart that wants to believe. So looking at the word count, a joyful attitude, James 1 and 2 says, count or consider is an accounting term. It means to take stock and consider carefully, investigate fully, line up all the numbers of them, add them up. What are the things we are to consider? Consider the facts about trials. James does not say that if trials come, but he said, but they will come. Expect them. Don't just hold your head down, depressed because I now have a trial. But notice that just because you are a believer, you are not exempt from these trials. The Proverbs tells us that rain falls on the just and the unjust alike.
Yes.
Satan fights us, yes he does. The world opposes us so many times and makes this life full of battles. Consider many different trials. James says that we face trials of many kinds. This can refer to two things. Firstly, it can refer to the type of trials. Emotional trials, trials at work, physical trials, etc., etc. Or it can refer to the source of these trials. Trials generally come from one or two sources. They are the trials that we experience as a result of living a Christian life, a godly life. In fact, this is probably what James had in mind as he wrote this letter. His audience was the 12 tribes scattered throughout the earth. He was addressing those believers who had been uprooted from their homes and families just because they were believers. And this is why so often I say, we are blessed that we can acknowledge that we are believers of Jesus Christ. There are people in other countries that will lose their life if they say that I am a Christian. And it has happened, even in some parts of, I think it was Africa, in a college. They would go through and ask, are you a Christian? Or are you of this other religion? And everybody that said they were a Christian, they killed them right on the spot. So this freedom alone is something that we should rejoice in, because we could be in that same state, and I hope and pray that our country will never get to that level. Consider your response to your trials. James says, count it joy when you face them. The Apostle Peter also says, dear friends, do not be surprised at the very trials you are going through, as if something strange were happening to you. Instead, be very glad, rejoice, because these trials will make your partners with Christ in his suffering. And afterward, you will have the wonderful joy of sharing his glory when it is displayed to all the world. Trials of life are not all alike. You might say they're kind of like a multiple color of yarn, but God arranges and mixes the colors and experience of life. The final product is a beautiful thing for his glory. Evaluate your goals and your priorities, old and new. Live for the things which matter the most. Our values determine our evaluation. If you value comfort more than character, then trials will upset you. If we value the physical and the material more than spiritual, we will not be able to count it all joy. If we live for the present and not the future, then trials will make us bitter and not better. Job 23 and 10 says, when God has finished with me, I shall shine as gold. When trials come, don't try to make a personal evaluation as to why or how or should they have not been. Simply look at the trials through the eyes of faith. Outlook determines our outcome. To end with joy, we need to begin with joy.
That's right.
But how is it possible to rejoice in the middle of trials? To the second word that we mentioned, K-N-O-W, know, an understanding mind. What do we as believers know that makes it easier to face trials and benefit from them? What do we know? What do we experience? When you have a trial and you're feeling, oh Lord, why? Then what goes through your mind? Is it, oh, why? Oh, I shouldn't, I should? Or is it, let me call somebody and discuss it with them? Or do you go to God and discuss it with him? And step out on your faith, believing that he is in control. Faith is always tested. To increase our faith, God tests to bring out the best. Satan tempts to bring out the worst. Testing works for us, not against us. And so many times we want to feel, and Satan wants us to feel, that it's against us. But it's not. These trials are only to test your faith, to show that it is strong and pure. It is being tested as fire tests and purifies gold. And your faith is far more precious to God than mere gold. So if your faith remains strong after being tested by trials, it will bring you much praise and glory and honor on the day when Jesus reveals to the world.